is its glorious name, but is but a little spot, and year by year the contest fought from a field that is called short crop. When friend meets friend in friendly strife, the leather for to gain, and they played the game right and morning. It's no sunshine or rain, it's a good old game in Iceland that tries the Lord of the Englishman. It's a good old game in Iceland that tries the Lord of the Englishman.
We are now in Ashbourne, in the Green Man. It's the 29th of January 1987, and we're with a group of Shrovetiders watching the film that we made of the bar on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and we've all been thoroughly enjoying it. And I've asked them to bring along any Shrovetide balls because Mr. Robertson is so interested in them. And I'm now with Mr. Stuart Avery, who is a real Shrovetider. He lives just in a little village just outside now, and he has decorated this one. And I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about it, Stuart.
Yes, I was asked to decorate this by Mr. Ken Brown, because his father scored this ball in 1914, and it was turned up by Mr. G.C. Huntress, who was in fact the master of the Dove Valley Harriers, which were in fact otter hounds. They used to sort of chase the otters, so we've depicted that on the other side of the ball, as you can see. And also we've depicted on the ball the crest, cockade crest, which is the Ashbourne crest.
Yes, this crest, of course, is on the mare's chain, and Patrick Kerr had that on his ball. I think that's probably quite traditional, is it, to put the cockade crest on? Yes, with the 3 cockerels. That's one of the families that was mentioned by Mr. Sampson when he was telling us about St. Oswald's, wasn't it? So, and you've put the flag underneath
Oh,
again.
yes, yes.
And did they play much, do you know, Carol, during the First World War? Can you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Oh, they did ask us how much was played when we were in Kirkwall. They asked us how much was played during the war, because they didn't play.
Played every year.
They never missed.
They played it.
They never missed.
Played every year. Played it.
Oh, because I think they did have to do without.
They even played 1 year in France in 1916.
Oh yes, that's Mr. Gadsby's telling us that it was played. Where was that?
A little village called Sous-en-Légière, and it was played by that. I think it was the 5th Battalion Sherwood Foresters in a little village in the front line.
Mm.
And they had a ball sent over specially from Ashbourne to play on Shrove Tuesday.
Oh yes, that's very interesting. Anyway, thank you very much, Stuart. Now, I'd also like to tell you that Stuart has painted a reproduction of the original Shrovetide painting. And he's done this as a special commission for a lady in Ashbourne, and he has brought it along for us to have a look at tonight. And also, I've on loan the original Shrovetide painting, which has been cleaned and tidied up a little bit because it was apparently in quite bad condition. And we do want to film that because you'll see in Mr. Robertson's office a painting which is one of the common ancestor paintings, and he is very interested to see these 2 paintings, and then we want to talk to you a little bit about it afterwards. So let's have a look at this painting. Was hanging in the Green Man for many, many years, but it was recently sold and it's now privately owned. But Mr. Gadsby was telling us whereabouts in the Green Man it used to hang.
Yes, it used to hang in the old dining room, which was upstairs, and therefore it wasn't readily available to the visitors to see, to Ashburnians to see, because only those people who dined in that room ever saw it.
Mm.
And the sort of interesting part about it, really, is the fact that the landscape was painted, and then the figures were painted on afterwards.
Yeah.
And the artist was living at Mayfield at the time, and all those characters on the figures there went down individually and had their sort of portrait sort of done, and then it was imposed on the original picture.
Yes, I see. Now, Stuart has painted a copy of this. He wasn't able to look at the original, but he has painted it from a black and white picture, and we're now going to have... It was a print like this one in the Ashbourne guidebook, which Stuart used to do his replica.
Very well. The photograph I used was an old newspaper cutting.
Yeah.
An old newspaper print. So obviously I had to guess the colours. Obviously, there weren't many sort of bright colours, dye-fast colours around. They were all earthy colours, and I stuck to that. And it's sort of similar.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Oh, well, let's put the other one up now then. That's lovely. Well, Stuart, congratulations on that marvellous copy. He's used...
Looks good, that.
Tell us about the colours that you used here.
Well, as I say, I tried to keep the colours earthy, and I had to imagine what the colours would be from a black and white picture. And really, you know, I tried to sort of get an old-fashioned sort of Victorian, if you like, look about sort of colours, which is, you know.
Yes, and I think he's really achieved a marvellous painting.
But I think on this, Stuart, have you painted the Shrovetide ball on this one?
Yes.
Yeah, the one on there is not painted. Oh, it's a leather ball.
Yeah.
The ball on that is
Now,
painted.
what I would like to tell you all is that Stuart is very keen to paint a replica about this size. Would you like to do about this size?
Well, it was an idea. I was talking with one or two people. Mr. Chadwick, I spoke to Mr. Chadwick as well about it. And we were saying it would be nice to do an up-to-date, a modern picture with all today's characters in.
Yes.
In the same position, or maybe outside the Green Man looking towards the church. I don't know which. You know, we thought originally it might be an idea to do it in the same position as this picture. Although they don't turn the ball up there now.
No.
Well, one idea that I had was that there are actually about 20 main characters and 20 just behind and 20 in the background, which means there's 60 people that could be in a painting. And I thought, Stuart is a professional artist and a sign writer, and obviously it's a tremendous job. Anybody that was in the painting would need to provide photographs, and it would have to be researched a lot, and it would take a lot of time and a lot of effort. But I do think this original painting, the man, by all accounts, he had a job to sell his painting. I think it was raffled off in the end, according to the Ashbourne News Telegraph's 1928 report. But I was thinking, if there were 60 people prepared to be in the new painting, and that we all put, all those that were in it or would like to put some money towards it, it would be possible for Stuart to do an original and a modern one side by side, and if 60 people would put £25 each, it would more than, I would think it would cover the cost of that. And then there's also a possibility that prints could be done, and all the people that were in the picture would be eligible for a signed limited edition print. We haven't thought of prices or worked out costs or anything, but it's something that could be done if we felt that it was something that we would like to do. And I know that a lot of people are disappointed that the painting doesn't belong to the town anymore, and it occurred to me that it's just something we could do if we wanted to, and Stuart's very keen to do it. But it's a tremendous task for an artist. But it's just a thought which I'd like you to think about. And we do need to commission, as a town, we need to commission Stuart to do it. So that's a thought that I would like to put to you tonight. I mean, inspired, I must say, by Mr. Robertson's supreme enthusiasm for the game and for paintings. So there we are, it's just a thought for you.
Yes.
Very good.
Shrovetide painting proved to be quite popular, and after an article had been written in the Ashbourne News Telegraph, we arranged a public meeting in the Green Man Hotel again on Wednesday the 18th of February, and Mr. Bertie Birch has been invited to take the chair.
Go back
Stuart's
to
first job this evening is to hand over Mr. Don Thornley's ball, which he's been busy painting. Now this is the ship you're on, is it, Don? Yes, and let's have a look at the other side. There we are, thrown up by A.D. Thornley, 19th of February 86, and then that is, what is the crest? Your Navy crest. Lovely. And also we've got the cocaine shield on this one. I bet you're pleased with that, aren't you, Don?
Thank you.
Happy memories. Thank you.
I was
Speak up, Don.
looking in my Navy news yesterday,
Yeah,
and you had one of the Navy ships up at Kirkwall.
that's true, at Christmas.
Yes, and they asked them if they could join in the bar game.
I think some of them did.
Yeah. I was reading it in my Navy news today.
Oh, yes.
And HMS
Orkney.
Orkney.
That's right, yes, we saw it.
Uh,
Yeah. Stuart has brought along some sketches that he did in the past for us to have a look at. And since our last meeting, he's already prepared this watercolour sketch, a cartoon he calls it, for us to have a look at. These faces all look rather familiar.
Again, this one's outside the Green Man, which I think, this is my sort of favourite idea, because you can get, I think on there I've counted somewhere about 65 faces, which, if you imagine that being twice the size, would hopefully be sort of recognisable faces. You know, that to my mind is the sort of favourite. I don't know what people feel about it, we'll have a look later.
Well, it's certainly gone to some trouble there. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, now, you were talking about cost. Now, the cost of a painting, I've always, in the past, I've always underquoted because I've never allowed as much time as I should, really, to do a painting. Now, having this to use as a guide, and knowing how long that took me, that will be about a quarter size of the proposed nude painting, which I would make 4 foot. The canvas would be something like 4 foot by 3 foot, or 4 foot by 32 inches to be exact. The cost, bearing in mind all the detail that's involved in the research, getting photographs of people, has got to be in the region.
Mr. Hanson and Mr. Gadsby both spoke at the meeting, and we were all convinced that Stuart could paint a wonderful Shrovetide painting for us, and that we could raise the money to pay for him to be commissioned to do it.
Wrong my estimate, but
Now, at the public meeting, Mr. John Gadsby, the chairman of the Shrovetide Committee, said that he thought the committee would be interested in actually commissioning the painting themselves. And at the next day, they had the official committee meeting, and I'm with Mr. Colin Clayton and Mr. Arthur Chadwick. And would you like to tell us what happened at the meeting, what you decided on?
Yes, Yvonne, we decided that we would take over the commissioning of the painting and form a small subcommittee of 3 or 4 members, which was myself, John Hanson and Sid Taylor, and we would then meet with the artist and yourself as a co-opted member to discuss the general production of the painting and see what transpired then. To get the funding for the picture, we decided to go ahead and produce a pro forma which invited people to donate toward the picture, and the donation would be sent to the Ashbourne News Telegraph office, John Hanson's office in Church Street, or myself as treasurer at home. And the pro forma incorporates a receipt which will be signed and returned to the donors of the money towards the picture.
Yes.
And we would welcome any amounts,
Yes.
of course, and this was decided at the meeting we had, the full Shrovetide Committee meeting as you mentioned.
Yes, so that would be very, very good for Mr. Avery to be commissioned in that way by the official committee.
That's
And
right.
we're also with Arthur Chadwick and his daughter Sandra, and it was actually Mr. Chadwick that told us about the original painting that Stuart did, and I know that Sandra admires his work too, don't you? And Sandra's come along today with the ball, which is going to be turned up by Val Tamworth. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about the way you've decorated it, Sandra?
Yes, well, as you can see, his name and the date on the front here. I've got the Saracen's head, and I've painted it in the colours that sort of depict the family crest, which is this one here, actually. That's the family crest, but the actual, the whole thing is made up of the 4 flags, which you can see on each side.
And of course the Saracen's Head is the pub, is the sign of the pub in,
that's the sign actually
in
of the pub.
Shirley,
It is, yeah.
where he comes from.
That's right.
That's a wonderful job. Lovely decorations on that. Very good, Sandra.
Right.
Thank you all very much. Who scored last year's early Wednesday goal, and he's watched our film of the bar in Kirkwell, and he's comparing notes with Charles Tate that's come down from Orkney to view our game here at Shrovetide.
From home for 9 years and I came back again, and instead of going into the bag, I got persuaded to start taking pictures with it because nobody was taking pictures for it. I've now taken pictures at 20 games, so I've got a fair idea of that.
Can I give you some advice? You want to get some, if you can get in the right position when the ball's in the water, you'll get some excellent shots. If you can get in front of them, not behind them. So mainly the ball always, when it's in the river, well, 9 times out of 10 goes down. So if you can get, say, 20, 30 yards in front, you'll get the ball coming out, and the players who picked it up running towards you, you'll get some excellent shots. What we found with the Ashbourne Telegraph player, sort of gets right next to the hook, the side of the hook.
Yeah.
As soon as the ball breaks, he's only getting the behind, you know.
Yeah, the thing is that what happens half the time when you try to be on the right side of it and it breaks on exactly the opposite side.
It's not very often it goes up the river though at all. You'll find, because there's the current, you see.
Yeah.
They've got the current against them.
We're now in the Green Man, and these are the menu cards for today. These have been designed by Stuart Avery, who is doing the Shrovetide painting.
Chairman of the District Council, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. Last year, as many of you may recall, Councillor Bertie Birch, in a very entertaining speech, reminded us that the highest honour that Ashbourne should bestow was to turn up the Shrovetide football. He said it was Ashbourne's equivalent
a Nobel Peace Prize, or an Oscar, or even a life peerage. but in view of the present company, I think perhaps we can discount the third option. But I'm sure we are all agreed with the general sentiment of his remarks.
Thank you very much for giving me up your case. I feel very privileged to be asked to turn up the water. No doubt, more things past. I haven't. I think it's incredible, lovely work of art. Got Saracen's Head, as those from Shirley will know, is the motto of a family. A very good pub there too. I want to say that here. I have been coming to Ashbourne for the last 30 years. I've actually lived at Shirley for the last 4 or 5. But I haven't had much experience of this game. I have come across it in the Shirley Street when I was stuck in my car. So I went to my bookshelf and looked at a book of acting. And I must quote this too, if I can find it in my pocket. It describes the game in great detail. This is the result. And I quote, "The struggle to obtain the ball is violent, and the motion of human tide heaving to and fro is tremendous. Broken shins, broken heads, torn coats, and lost hats are among the minor accidents."
The native is Scotland, and my counterparts have accepted this as a memento of his you will notice, some of you have this little leaflet here, and it's in regard to the Royal Shrovetide Football Committee's commission of a painting to be done on the mock game. Now, it's self-explanatory. If anybody would like to make a donation, Colin Clayton, who's chairman of the subcommittee, will be only too pleased to accept. He will wait a minute at the end of the room here. And one other thing, let me go up at the night, is introducing the Shrovetide Committee handle on sale in one of
exciting, actually.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's such a crowd, isn't there?
It's just the momentum there. You can see they're all aching for you to throw the ball at that individual person over there.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes. Oh, great. Well,
Enjoy it. Great privilege.
yes, lovely.
So I was voting against the government, so I stayed for that and rebelled against the government, and then drove up afterwards. So.
But you've really enjoyed
Oh, very
Shrovetide.
much so, absolutely. I've heard about it many times before, but it's the first time they have been a member of Parliament and therefore able to get up. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I certainly hope to come next year.
Yes.
As a member of Parliament.
You may get asked to throw though.
Well, I usually have very distinguished people. Parliament fit into that category.
I'm sure you will. And this is Mr. and Mrs. Fred Yates. I've known Fred for a
Yes,
long
I think we met you last year, didn't we?
Yes, yes.
We were doing
This is the first time I had a drink with 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, I better wait till we finish filming.
We used to drink in the White Hart, didn't we?
That's right.
something the other day from the Conservative.
Oh, lovely. Lovely to see you anyway.
It's grand, isn't it?
Hamlet's trying to get by the hole. What is that? Down there somewhere, the ball. Seconds, it soon disappears again. Towards the uppy goal, isn't it? The ball down there, they're in the river, still on the side of it.
Now 3 o'clock. is a recent photo of Mr. Geoffrey Morton. Back in 1953, he was making a film at this part of the river, and he has given us his kind permission to show a small part of the Ashbourne story. The ball was turned up on Tuesday in 1953 by Lord John Manners. Here on the stairs of the Green Man are Joe Wibberley, Don Lowndes, who goaled the ball, and behind them John and George Mansfield. This photograph from about that time shows Charlie Allen, George Richardson, Jack Clark, and Don Lowndes is behind Charlie Etches. Look out for him in the old film. From left to right in this photograph are Jimmy Grant, Jay Clues, Tom Allen, Melvin Slater, Albert Evans, George Handley and Pop Watson. Here's the film. The ball's broken away, come back down the culvert, come up through the memorial. Well, I've just dashed up here to the Downers goal, and the news is that the ball came up here, but it was declared void because the ball arrived in a car. So it's back to the Green Man.
The ball's been void. Philip Thomas has brought it back again. Thrown it up again on Thompson Bridge.
It's because that's where it was taken from, is
That's
it?
right, under the culvert. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So they whipped it into the car, took it up, and it's the same ball they're playing with
Well, they
again.
believe it was in a car. I don't know about that, but that's what I've
that's
been told.
the rumour.
Definitely in a car.
Oh, I see.
So it's back here
So
again
it's
in
back to
town.
where it was?
So enjoy yourself.
Right, thanks.
lost it, Liz.
Well, you're on there somewhere. Steady with it, Steph. Well, it must be on the film though.
Did you get on the film?
Well, I kept it going.
It's still going.
I don't see the balls, yeah? Looks as it's going to go. It's going to go up here again, you know.
ran loose, it was picked up by David Mycock, who ran with it a very considerable distance towards the Clifton goal. He went into the goal with Jeff Harrison, but here straws were drawn and the goal was awarded to Mike Bethridge. We caught up with him, bringing the ball back into the Green Man yard. It's now Wednesday morning and I'm with Mr. Sidney Taylor and we're looking at his ball which Sandra has decorated, and Mr. Taylor is the Secretary of the British Legion, so Sandra's depicted their sign and the lions around the edge of the ball, and then on this side we've got the Ashbourne Shrovetide. And you've been playing a long time, you played a long time,
yes,
didn't you?
I can't remember when, from probably about 13 or 14. You just get into it, you get bigger and bigger, so you get more and more involved in it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day today.
Right,
We shall look forward to seeing you turn it up.
right, thank you.
I'm now with our mayor at this reception before the lunch, and that's Councillor Derek Page, and we particularly wanted to get a shot of Mr. Page's chain of office because this cocaine crest is often featured on the Shrovetide balls, and of course it is the symbol of the grammar school. One shot of you and your speech
Ashbourne Shrovetide football, and give us a nice welcome to our honoured guest today, Mr. Sidney Taylor. Mr.
Chairman, Councillor Taylor, Mr. Mayor, Chief Constable, honoured guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my privilege, on behalf of the people of Ashbourne and of the District Council, to welcome Mr. Councillor Sidney Taylor for performing the ceremony of turning up the ball and to propose the toast of the Royal Shrovetide football game. As an Ashburnian, Councillor Taylor has served Ashbourne well. He has been involved in local government for nearly 30 years, during which time he has been Chairman of the Urban District Council and Mayor of the Ashbourne Town Council. He is a Justice of the Peace and is Deputy Chairman of the West Derbyshire Petty Sessions Division. So we shall all have to watch our step today, or we won't be taken in charge. I'm certain he would absolve us from all, discharge us from all, give us an absolute discharge, put it that way. Most people will have noticed that the crest on the ball today is the crest of the Royal British Legion. This again denotes the service which Councillor Taylor has given to the British Legion as Secretary and also Vice President. During the last war, Councillor Taylor served with the Army in the Far East. One final thing I must mention, during his younger days, he was a player and Secretary of the Ashbourne Town Football Club, and has also, I believe, been in many scrums, are they called, of the Ashbourne game. It's debatable whether it was 1949 or 1950 that Councillor Taylor scored the goal. The card on the top says 1949 and Councillor Taylor's ball says 1950, so it's debatable which year it was. I'm sure, may I also thank the people of Ashbourne for inviting me and my husband to share in this historic event. It has long been my ambition to see the game, and I thoroughly enjoyed yesterday's. The Royal Ashbourne football game is a great tradition of this district, and it is these traditions which make our country great. Councillor Taylor's record is one of service and dedication to the people of Ashbourne. And could I ask you please to be upstanding for the toast, which is the Ashbourne Royal Shrovetide football game, coupled with the name of Councillor Taylor.
Somebody said I wasn't drunk. Mr. Mayor, Madam Chairman, Darlesdale District Council, Chief Constable, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd first thank the Royal Shrovetide Committee for inviting me to turn up today's ball. I can assure you that no one appreciates this honour more than I do. And I'd also like to thank all those people who've made expressions of goodwill and best wishes for today's ball with their congratulations. I would add that one supporter has gone so far, and I've promised, to give me a personalised scarf it says Downers on it, but I promise to be absolutely impartial today. I was born in Compton in 1921, and those of you who look through the records will find that this was a vintage year. But both balls went down. They were both goaled by members of the clan. Charlie South on Tuesday and George South on Wednesday. And what made Tuesday's ball was particularly great was the fact that ex-Police Inspector Burton threw it up. This is the only occasion in history when a Burton has thrown a ball to Southern. Compton, of course, 60 odd years ago was very different from what it is today. Far more shops and tradesmen. There were 9 yards with anything up to a dozen cottages in each yard. Some of the families are so large that they lived in 2 of the cottages, not 1. And I suppose with the shopkeepers living above the shops, the tradesmen of the yards, there were probably 150 to 200 families lived in Compton. And this, of course, was the hotbed of the Downers Shrovetide. There were just a few upwards, they were just tolerated. And of course the upwards, who we very much respect, lived probably within about 150 yards of the marketplace. Both sides knew each other absolutely, they lived in each other's pockets, and one of the great things of the old game was that all the Downers knew each other and all the uppers knew each other, and neither side would have goaled the ball at the wrong mill. If they had have done, they'd have had the ball taken off them, or certainly they don't have taken it home. The kids in Compton played Shrovetide. We played in the playground at school at break time, and every night we played, rushed home from school, go up to tea, and then we had to wait till 5 o'clock, because at 5 o'clock hundreds of people escaped from the corset factory. At least we thought they were escaping, they were all running for their lives. And then we started playing until the kids were dragged off to bed to dream of when they'd be big enough to play the real Shrovetide. And of course they were steeped in the history of the game. They knew what Shrovetide was like 50 years or 60 years earlier. Most of you have read or heard of the last attempt of the authorities to suppress Shrovetide in 1891. This was the year that Mrs. Woolley smuggled the ball under a skirt up to the marketplace and turned up the ball from an upstairs window. Well, we didn't need to read about it. We were told about it by the old people of Compton. I might add that dozens of people were arrested. The fines were paid by subscription list and concert parts and so on. The organiser was a gentleman they always referred to as Lawyer Bamford. And dare I say, as a magistrate, in the presence of the Chief Constable, that my grandfather picked up 13 summons in 2 days. Had the fines not have been paid, of course, dozens of people would have finished up in Derby Jail. And I suppose on visiting day, this would have been Ashbourne's first organised excursion. Several times yesterday, this was mentioned as a game. Certainly the way I was first brought up and came to acknowledge the game, it wasn't a game. I think you could possibly call it a blood sport. Or I think that Compton wished to express its individuality. It had, of course, been an individual community. I think the Board of Guardians was formed in the 1860s when the two communities of Ashbourne and Compton were brought together. And then we had the Local Government Act of 1894 when Ashbourne Urban District Council formed. And in between we even had the Ashbourne Sanitary Board. And of course we call this game Ashbourne Royal Shrovetide Football. And of course there's no reason whatsoever why all those names Ashbourne shouldn't have been substituted by Compton, because this is really Compton's Shrovetide Football. And talking of the game, there will be a number of kicks exchanged this afternoon. Someone will get kicked. It will be followed by an apology. 60 years ago, somebody got kicked. It was followed by a promise. The promise will be, there's plenty more where that comes from. But on Thursdays, they would all be friends again. They used to use an old adjective in Ashbourne, ronk. I think you would spell it. I've never seen it spelled, probably R-O-N-K. To describe somebody as a ronk upward or a ronk downwards was the greatest tribute you could pay anyone in Ashbourne. And so when these ronk players had finished playing, they would talk it over and say, "Hey, what is doing, kicking my shins yesterday?" And of course he would apologise and say, "I'm sorry, I kicked the shins, I'll aim him for the kneecaps." At the time I was born, I suppose Shrovetide, the bell was already tolling for it. Lord George had promised a land fit for heroes to live in, and they started building houses, first on the north bank, Cockayne Avenue, the Green Road, Northcliffe, and then on the south bank, Clifton Road, Belper Road, Derby Road, and the old Shrovetide. And then the health authority put their foot in it by decreeing that firstborn and critical births would go to the city hospital, which made them downwards, and the second, and births without complications, should go to the maternity home, which made them upwards. So the firstborn were downwards and the secondborn were upwards. Is it any wonder they run round in circles now? I don't think a lot of the modern players realise that essentially Shrovetide is a team game. It's only a question of who has the ball afterwards. And if you play football, you don't score through your own goal. And so at Shrovetide you shouldn't score through your own goal. And now we come to today's ball. I don't think it's a particularly good game yesterday. Footballers should remember that this is a football and it should be kicked about. If they want something to hug, they should buy a cuddly toy. It is convention that if the ball isn't gold, that it is offered to whoever turns the ball up. Well, in the true spirit of Shrovetide, I hope that this ball is gold. I don't favour no gold draws, and I hope that whoever goals it is a wrong cupboards or a wrong down. And whoever goals it deserves it and cherishes ever after. Thank you.
great, marvellous, and you, really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Went down very, very well.
Good.
Very proud of you.
Yes, it was very interesting. I found, much more interesting than yesterday. Yeah, because I learned a lot more about how it all came about today.
Yes, yes.
Well, I don't think anybody really knows, but what it certainly didn't happen is you didn't get a committee sitting down and let's say let's play football. Like a referee said, let's stand on each side of the river and throw stones at each other. Because that's what it was. It was extremely bitter to those 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. The rush on there, wasn't it?
I'm with Mr. John Gadsby, the chairman of the Shrovetide Committee, and what we'd very much like to know, John, is what happened late yesterday afternoon. I was down over beyond the fish ponds when the ball broke away, and then it appeared to be lost for about 2 hours, and under those circumstances you can make it null and void, can't you?
Well, yes, it wasn't lost that long, actually. What happened was that at about 20 to 5, the ball was on Compton, by the side of Compton Bridge.
Yes.
And
Yes, we
it
saw
became
that
a breakaway, and they ran across here and up into the cattle market. Now, well, not unfortunately, but sort of foolishly, they got into a car, which of course, as every local person knows, is against the sort of spirit of the game and also against the rules, of course. And so, fortunately, there were 3 committee men there, myself and 2 others, and we were able to make a quick decision that if the ball became visible again, we should start back from where the game was last played. And in effect, what happened was that the ball was, 2 of my colleagues went down to Clifton and I went to Sturston with the instructions that if the ball came to light, it would be returned to Compton, and in effect it did. It was found down at Fred Harrison's field, near about quarter of a mile from Sturston Mill, and it was returned back, and the game started from exactly from where it was run away from in the first place.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't in effect. It was only about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. That's all.
Yes. Oh, but later on in the
evening. Well, yes, but what happened was that the ball there again was missing at about 7:45. In actual fact, the chap who walked past me from about 20 yards away at the top end of the fish pond meadow, and I saw him sort of escaping across the fields, and the ball was actually out of sight until 9:15. And then it would arrive in the river just near Clifton Mill. But this is not unusual in the late evening. We're not quite so concerned about that late evening sort of missing. When you get towards 10 o'clock time, it's when the ball is missing sort of tea time and early evening that causes the problems, when people have got sort of so many hours to sort of waste and get into trouble.
Yes, because I've never heard of that particular rule before.
Yes, well, it's a thing we bought in because about 7 or 8 years ago on 2 occasions the ball was missing for about 3 hours, and the police were very concerned because a lot of young people got a lot too much to drink in the meantime, and there was quite a bit of trouble, almost entirely due to the fact that they weren't expanding their energy on football.
That's
you see.
right, yes. And so the ball was seen again, and then it must have moved very quickly up to the goal.
Well, it actually was seen about 10 yards from the goal. That was when it happened.
I see.
You see, it suddenly appeared in the river about 10 yards from the goal at Clifton. And then there's still a lot of play for well over half an hour, and it was only 2 minutes to 10 that the ball was actually scored. And it was when they realised how late it was, they sort of quickly drew lots, and the winner scored. You see.
Oh, I see. And the name of the young man?
Michael Bettridge.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
It was very close, wasn't it?
Yes, 2 minutes.
And they played hard, didn't they?
Oh yes, I mean he played all day, and it was a good game actually. It was perhaps a bit tight in some respects as regards the hugs, but I thought the water play, particularly in late afternoon, was as good as I've ever seen it.
Yes, yes. I know Charles Tate from Kirkwell. He was very fascinated by the way that the ball was was pushed off the bank.
Yeah. And sort of wheeled around and pulled out of the hook. And
Yes, it seemed to be Kevin Grimes. He said he was a strong player and he was able to push it off
That's
the
right.
riverbank and then
Wheel it
swirl
round, yes,
and then get it going. And then it would lodge on the bank again and it could get it swirling round
yes,
again.
I thought it was very good, actually. Yeah.
Yes. Well, let's hope we get some more good play today.
Yes,
We're certainly on the move again
certainly
already.
on the move now, yes. Well, it looks like they might be in the water now, but still. I think Mr. Taylor asked them particularly to sort of make it an open game, and I think that on a Wednesday you very often get this.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm now with Mr. Don Lowndes and Mr. Charles Etches, and they were in the film which was made by Mr. Morton in 1953 and 4. And they called you, didn't they, Don, the Fighting Blacksmith?
That's right, yes.
And this is Mr. Etches, and we're particularly pleased to have him on the video today because not only was he in that bit of old film, but his grandfather is also on the original Shrovetide painting, and his name. Tell us a little bit about him, Mr. Etches.
Well, I believe he was born. He was born at where was it? New Inns, and he moved to Royston Grange. And then my father took over from there. But my father was a keen player all his life.
Yes.
And he scored in 1901. And one of his brothers scored it in 1895, Edwin.
Yes.
And he then soon after went to Australia.
Did he?
He did.
So the Etches were a big Shrovetide.
Big Shrovetide.
Ufford family.
Ufford family.
Yes.
And I've been upwards all my life, and I scored one in 1941.
I see, that's super.
Yes, and in
Father goal 2 in 1900.
1900, yes.
Yeah, 2 in
And I had the pleasure of throwing the ball up in 1980. Yes, which was a great honour of my life.
Yes, that's super. And Don, can we come now to Don? Could you tell us a little bit about those years when you were playing so strongly?
They're good days. Well, it was a tradition more than anything.
Yes.
My father played, and he brought me down here on the crossbar of his bike when I was a lad of 9 and 10-year-old, and I was born into it. Yeah. And I remember him taking me back on the crossbar, and I holding a handkerchief up to his eye. Half his head was knocked out, you know.
From the game?
From the game, and holding a handkerchief up, and he pedalled me back 7 miles to Parwich.
Good heavens. And can you do us one of those cheeky winks, Don? Lovely.
Anyway,
thanks a lot.
I'll come down and see.
I'll come down. I'll give you.
In August.
Oh, I see.
Retired.
Yes.
Retired.
So this is Mr. Etch's sister.
Yes.
And you actually lived at the Grange.
At Royston. I was the last one to be born at Royston Grange.
Yeah, and you've got a story, have you, about the game?
Oh, marvellous. Yes, Father Goldie's 2 balls in one day. And he gave one to his friend in 1900, Mr. Fred Ashton.
That must be unique, I should think.
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Yes,
They worked together
he
all
was
day.
the only one that had gold 2 in one day.
And can you remember your grandfather?
I can't remember grandfather. He died with sugar diabetes, father's father did. But grandma lived to be 90. Yes,
yes. Oh, it's super to meet you then.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
And I've known this gentleman years.
She's a native of Parwich.
We went to Parwich.
I was school. I was fighting in Italy and got wounded, and I finished up at Parwich.
Did you?
Hospital.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what I was
On
in
convalescent.
1945. Convalescent.
My grandfather went to Old Ashbourne School, that's the old one, and my father, but I went to the new Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, I know.
Yes, that's what we did.
Small world, isn't it?
Small world.
Yes. Yeah, well done. Yeah, so it's in the time, isn't it? The ball is down at this end of the culvert, on the park side of the culvert.
The ball went into the river exceptionally quickly today. Stuart Avery was busy taking photographs for sketches for the Shrovetide painting. He was disappointed that there was no play in the town, which is what he wanted for the painting preparations. But he was able to do some very good sketches from his photographs. That was Mr. George Handley, and this is Mrs. Marion Abbott.
Shot of Carol as well.
Hello. Now I'm with Georgina Picton at the moment, and I know you're a great Shrovetide supporter, and you've come specially over and left your job, haven't you, to come today? Tell us what you like about it.
Well, everything, the excitement, and especially if the Downards most of my family are Downards and play well for the ball, and quite a few in the family that have got the balls, you know, earned the balls. Yeah. And it's just better than Christmas. Really, really it is. Yeah.
I know you're always here.
Yeah. It's time to see, you know, friends that you see at school and probably not seen for years. Well, I can always guarantee you'll see them at Shrovetide.
Yes. Oh, that's great. Well, we're having a good day today, aren't we?
Great.
It's been a bit static lately. What do you think is going to happen now?
Well, the Downers will get it, and that's it. Another one. Can't fail. Can't fail.
Not very interested in the football. Rose just emerged from the fold today. Good to go.
Charles Tate with us yesterday, the photographer from Orkney. These are a few of the photographs he took of the Tuesday's game. Make a note of the number if you want to order any of the photographs.
Yes, I've been taking photographs at the bar, we call it the bar in Kirkwall in Orkney for the last 10 years, and I've been wanting to come and see your bar for Shrovetide game. That's all right. Now, how do you say, is that bar B-A-R-R, is that? B-A apostrophe, I suppose. Played in the streets of our main town of Kirkwall. And yes, it is over a shorter distance, but we have a lot of lanes and closes and... Oh, so it's allowed to go up the lanes? Oh yes, and narrow streets, and it can go all over the place. It even sometimes goes through houses. And gets stuck in garages but basically it's very similar. It gets thrown out at the market cross, opposite the cathedral in the main street. And the Doonies have got to get into the harbour. Doonies? The Doonies, we call them. Yes, and they've got to go actually north up the street, and the uppies, which is the same thing really as yours, they've got to take it to a wall about the same distance in the opposite direction. Right. Although, yes, the distances are less, but the game can last just about as long. I think it's lasted almost till 10 o'clock sometimes. Do you have it over the 2 days as we do in Ashbourne? No, it's on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Except when Christmas Day is on a Sunday, when it takes place on the Monday. But if they want to play here, do you keep it very much to the men? No, the women, I think it's a similar story. There are some young women who take quite an active part in it. Just after the Second World War, they actually had 2 women's bars. But they were so rough and ferocious that they didn't have any more frightened.
Knew it.
No,
yeah,
I saw you across on the bridge, but I didn't.
I say, yeah, the old swans. Not a bit interested in the football, are they?
No. You're not used to people, you see. It doesn't make any difference.
Is that what it is, Carol?
That's right.
A little bit farther down there and more. Not move very far really.
Let's all gather
Only static at the moment. We're in the same spot. You can see the steam start lining up a bit now. We're getting a bit colder.
That's 3. All that way down.
Right then, all this way.
This is different.
Bit more movement there.
I'm now with Mike Beckfridge that goaled the ball late last night, and I wonder, Mike, could you give us a little indication of what happened?
Well, I went down to the goal at 8:45.
Yeah.
To Clifton at 8:45 with friend Steve Kent and Mike Pepper.
Yeah.
We run around the fields at Clifton to find out where they were, and decided that we hadn't seen them, so we went back to the goal, and a couple of lads came rushing in, jumped into the river, so we jumped in on top of them, took the ball off them, and as often happens in Shrovetide. You get the ball in the most unforeseen circumstances, and we hugged it around in the river for quite some time. I lost both my shoes, so I got written on my feet. And eventually, at 2 minutes to 10, we had a draw, and I came out tops and I scored it.
Yeah, I know in the, when we filmed you coming into the Green Man, everyone was very pleased for you that you'd won. So when
Yes.
you sorry that you scored the ball?
Culmination of 30 years playing. Playing since I was that high. My father before me had played, and they nearly scored one. So we've got one for the family at long last.
Yes, well I know everyone in the town's very pleased for you. Many congratulations. Many more years to play.
Thank you very much indeed.
You certainly run it close on time, didn't it?
It was, just 2 minutes to 10.
Yeah. And the ball's in a pretty rough space, is it?
There isn't a scrap of paint on it.
I don't think there is on this one today.
No, it seems to have gone off rather quickly.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Very, well, as you can see, it's not moved very far forward. And this small marks and forms.
Ashbourne Schools new plan says move that classroom, didn't it? Shows local solidarity. I've heard about it. Use my tattoo there. Yes. Steam off the whole thing.
John Thorne, right? Threw the ball up last year.
Smile, you're on candy camera.
No, I'm with Mrs. Marion Abbott, who's one of the really great Shrovetide supporters. Tell us about the game, and I believe you've even been in the water, haven't you, Marion?
Yes, for many, many years actually. It started in the war years when a lot of the uppers were exempt because of the farming fraternity that was in the area.
Yes.
Most of the downers seemed to be in the forces.
Oh.
And so consequently that each year it was turned up,
yes,
everyone used to get in the river and off they used to go to Sturston with it, so no one to stop them.
Oh.
Until it was about 1943 and I got a little bit fed up of this.
Yes.
A great friend of mine who's now passed on said one day, if it gets near the waterfall, shall we
Yes.
go in and stop them?
Yes.
So consequently it got to the waterfall and in we went, followed by several other ladies, and so you know, elderly people at, shall we say, 50 and 60s,
Yeah.
the gents said, well, we're not having the ladies helping us out, we'll get in as well, you see. So
Yes.
the ball then came back into Ashbourne,
Yes.
and I've been in river play actually ever since. Consequently, when I got home that particular evening, Mother said, oh my God, she said, I thought this had finished when your father died, you know, this water and
Yeah,
play
your dad
and
was a
getting the
great
clothes.
player.
Oh yes, he goaled the ball in 1910 and 1911.
Did he?
Yes, and he also went down the river on one occasion. It was so deep with
Mm.
ropes fastened to him and they held it from either side of the bank so
Yeah.
as he wouldn't go under.
I see.
So,
yes. So your mother wasn't too pleased when you took up being a river player?
Not very pleased at all. There was always a silence about the week before Shrovetide and a week after Shrovetide.
Yes.
She used to pretend she hadn't heard what I'd said, or
Oh.
I'd say, well, cheerio, Mum, I'm off, you know,
Yes.
and consequently, pardon, what did you say?
Yeah. And you've taken to knitting now, Marion. Is this a new thing, is it?
Well, not really. It's actually, it was my birthday in February,
Yes.
and a friend said, what would you like? And I said, I'd like a jumper, you see, with the Downers written on it
Oh,
and
yes.
my name.
Yes.
So, as a joke. And
Yes.
consequently, this turned up on my birthday for
Oh, I
me.
see.
Yes.
With Marion Abbott written. Yes, and even an arrow, so you can tell that you're Downers.
I'm a Downers, and it says Marion Abbott, and it also says it on the sleeves.
Oh, yes, so this would have come from the same stable as Sid Taylor's scarf.
That's correct, yes, I did get it from Sid.
Oh, I'd say. So it's quite likely that you would have been in the old 1954 film.
There is a possibility, yes, and also it would be 1952. I'd been in the river off and on all day.
Yes.
I got home, changed and changed and changed, and on the last occasion went out in the last decent clothes. Mother said, "You're not going in the river again." I said, "No, it's dark now." I got to the top of Dig Street and they were all looking round, and it appears the ball had been kicked around and lost. I said, "Oh dear," leaned back against the wall and put my foot on something, and there was the ball between the downspout and the steps by the dentist of Wingfields on Church Street. So I tipped up all the wink, and we waited till people had sort of gone, apart from the odd ones, put it underneath my arm, walked along Church Street, got as far as John Gasby, the chairman of the Shrovetide Committee's father's shop at that time. We opened the door, saw the ball and shouted, "What have you got?" 2 or 3 grabbed, as you see, and I held it from 5 minutes past 8 till we got into the mill yard at 11:30 at Clifton.
Yes. And of course, in those days you could play until 12.
Yeah, till 12.
Yes.
We got into the mill yard there, and they were arguing who should have it, and someone said, "Well, I'd played hard all day, I should get it."
Yes.
And I said, "Oh no, you know." And of course they started to shake the ball, and of course we'd been in the hug so long, I was tired and I let it go.
Yeah.
And the gentleman picked it up and goaled it that had only been watching for 20 minutes. But that's how Shrovetide goes.
Yes.
It was goal down at Clifton, so really I was happy, but I was very disappointed I didn't get the ball.
Of course you were. Anyway, everyone knows in the town that you're one of the great players.
Yes.
And also you're helping raise the funds for the new painting, aren't you?
Definitely. Yes.
Yes. I'm sure Stuart's going to do a wonderful job for us.
I'm
isn't
sure,
he?
and if we don't get enough, if you hear that there's been a bank raid, they won't have to look very far than 96, the Green Road, for the culprit.
Great. Thanks.
Coming back towards the culvert again.
The game was played through the culvert, and it came out by Carey's and along this stretch of the Henmore, past the bus garage and through towards Station Road. I'm with Mr. George Handley, who's on the committee, and he's just going to describe what happened earlier on with the game when it came from Station Road, George.
Well, actually the ball was played along here, under the water, down by the side of the water. It was hooked for quite a while at the side of the wall. It came out onto the grass here and then went through between the swimming bath and the old flying club onto the Clifton Road. The ball was then played along here where it milled around for quite a while, and then it was taken up the steps and run away with up the steps. Everybody thought it was lost, but eventually it was played down Lee's Lane by the police station, came back along the road here and was milled around with and backwards and forwards along the road here past Nestles up to Heinz Barn, backwards this way past Nestles again by where Frank Wright's used to be, where it then disappeared. It was taken across the river.
The ball actually went up these stairs some 30 or 40 years ago in another game. Yeah. Now we're now in Northcliffe Road, is it? And we just the group have actually split off from the hug, and they're running up now, and it looks as if they're going in the direction of Sturston Mill. This group of players have come up to the north of Ashbourne, and this will give you some idea how far they've got to run to get to Sturston Mill. Now tell us where we are now.
No, just left Northcliffe Road and gone on to North.
Try and follow them. There's quite a group of them here. Do you know how they broke away from the hug?
I think it was down towards Nestle. It was Chicken. I think Paddy Kerr and Jonathan got the ball, got it away and kept kicking it. And with them being good runners, they started losing the ground. So I think they came across Tomlinson Field and looked at the back of the church. Mill Lane and come round behind Queen Elizabeth's Grammar School. They're running across the field to the Jitty, and it looks as if they're going to come out down behind Manor Road.
I think that's Jonathan Dodd, isn't it, with the ball?
That's right, 20 Church behind him, Michael Wright there. We're on the lane now, going down to Paper House Farm, and we can see them. There's a group of 6, 7, they're running with the ball. Jonathan Dodd's just thrown it to one of his mates. It looks as if he's going to carry it for him for a while.
Do they know who's going to actually have the ball this time?
I think Paddy Kerr's decided that with Jonathan Dodd helping him, he's going to help Jonathan Dodd in, and with Paddy being a downward and Jonathan Dodd an upward, I think that's what they've decided, depending on the people at the other end, if they'll let them.
If they'll let them in?
Yeah.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Pegg? My name's Mr. Handley, my first year on the committee. This is Mr. Pegg, who now owns Sturston Mill Farm, and we're just waiting for the ball to come in. We're hoping to, we're both going to see it goal. So if we move across now, we can perhaps wait for the runners coming.
Well, as we left the road at Paper House and we've travelled round to Sturston Mill. We now pick the group of runners up coming across the fields towards the bridge where the goal is. Jonathan Dodd's just climbed over the gate with the ball under his arm. Paddy Kerr's there, so's Michael Wright. There's a group of 3 or 4 others with them as well. They're now running along the track towards the bridge.
Come straight in though?
Well, if we the field is coming in from Alan's farm side now. Andrew Lehman's there. Paddy's trying to stop him. Bill Ratcliffe's there. Stephen Bott's there. I think they're going to score it. Paddy's trying to stop him. Jonathan Dodd's going to get it up. Yes. They're shouting for Jonathan Dodd. They're trying. We can see the ball coming up above his head. They're hanging on to the post. 1, 2, 3. Jonathan Dodd scored.
Very good. Very good.
We're now back in the marketplace in Ashbourne with Jonathan and George, and that was as near as we could come to a reconstruction of the actual goal, and it happened actually quite late at night. The runaway was from about 9:20 and you actually goaled it. What was the time?
7 minutes to 10.
7 minutes to 10, so it was a very close thing there. And George witnessed it on behalf of the committee. Would you like to say what you saw, George?
Well, actually, the ball came into the mill, carried by John, followed by Paddy Kerr. They jumped into the water. 2 or 3 jumped in to try and stop them. But I think most people that were at the mill were for John, for having the ball. He'd been there previously, and only the year previous he'd spun up for a ball, so they thought it was about time that he received one. And eventually he did goal the ball, as we've shown, and here it is.
Very good. Congratulations then, Jonathan. Well, here we are back in the centre of Ashbourne, almost reconstructing the 1862 painting, and we've got some wonderful balls here from Shrovetide in the past. This one was of George's. This one was goaled by your grandfather, and involved with that goal was also Charlie Etch's grandfather, was it?
No, John Wibley.
Oh, John Wibley, and it's John Wibley that is shown probably his father on the original painting.
Probably, yes.
And then this is your other ball, which was...
Goal in 1975.
Oh yeah, that's the Brian Clough one.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and that's got a lovely picture of the Green Man sign there. And then we've also got with us Charlie Etches and his son John. And of course, not only is his grandfather on the painting, but he's got along a ball that you gold, and next to him is a ball that you turned up.
Yes,
With Andrew Leeming. And John was playing in the river again this year, so the game has followed through your family, and we can trace that one right back. It's the only one that we can trace right back directly like that so far. And then we've also got Stephen Bott's goal, which was gold in 82, wasn't it, Stephen?
84.
Oh, 84. And can you show us a little bit more of the paintwork on that one? Oh, it's hands.
It's because it was somebody else. Oh no, Gerald's had hands because they were born outside the United Kingdom.
Oh, I see.
Hands of friendship around the world.
Oh, that's a nice thought. And of course, yours was the last ball to be gold on the spindle of the mill. And then, of course, Jonathan's is the first one on the new
That was
gold.
the last ball to be gold in the mill.
Actually, in the mill, that one.
In the mill, yeah. Last one, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very interesting selection, isn't it? And thank you ever so much, and particularly those that were helping with the reconstruction and getting themselves all wet for a second time.
Don't get Ken at the back there. It's very good commentary.
Oh yes, there's Ken. Ken was our commentator. He was involved in the game and was able to help us. He's got a broken arm at the moment, but he came along and helped. Thank you all ever so much. There has been controversy about the new goals, so we're going to have a look at our film of a Downards goal. This is Mark Harrison's goal from 1986. Jeanette! Jeanette! There's a terrific movement now. It looks as if something exciting is going to happen. The ball is actually here. I do believe it's not here. It'll be here any minute. You can see the crowd running in. They're hanging on to the goal post like mad.
Right.
How exciting! On Shrove Tuesday, Roy Christian of Radio Derby was standing here near the church in Ashbourne, and you may like to hear what he said.
Of the old Queen Elizabeth Grammar School. This building, which I can see, is a row of 6 gables. This was started in 1585 and completed about 20 years later because they ran out of money. A man called Thomas Cockayne, who lived at Ashton Hall, was the chief founder of this school. There were other people associated with him, but he gets most of the credit. Next to the grammar school, facing the mountain, is what has been described as the best house in Derby. That's in Ashford. That's the Grey House, built, I think, by a man called Hodgson, who ran the hotel, I think, in Buxton. He was quite a long way from home here, but certainly built splendid.